Greetings and salutations. This is Lost Wages and Second Chances. Penultimate episode. Candles forward, foot, and head. And I am your storyteller, your number one fan. Nobody. Welcome. And thank you.
Hello.
Greetings and salutations. How are we doing?
I'm doing alright.
Alright is good. Alright is good. Well, welcome. Howdy.
I know I'm a bit early, but I'm here.
It's the opposite, but welcome.
Ready to set Las Vegas ablaze?
Yeah. We're gonna have fun in the city of sin.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to what? Being set ablaze? Well, that could be ranged.
I'm expecting this to be a really fun session.
And here, guys, give me a few moments. We are approximately 7 minutes outside of hard start. I'm going to still some poisonous nicotine, and I shall return post haste.
Same idea.
While you guys do that, I'll do my electronic nicotine. Hey, Fancy, they went for a nicotine break.
Yeah, he messaged me to make sure I was still coming, and I'm like, I didn't think I was late. But then I looked at the time, I was like, oh, I'm almost late.
But if you're almost late, are you actually late or just early?
Normally, when he step away for cigarettes or whatever, we supposed to be discussing what we just finna do. And this is a good point because we definitely need to figure out what we're gonna do. Mostly because the problem is it's Martha's childer, and we
I
probably
set fire to her.
we probably shouldn't kill her in the building if we're going to kill her. But the problem is, the biggest problem with that situation is Fancy is not going to be very fancy right now. Fancy is fairly upset. Fancy is probably a little bit inconsolable right now, and is seeing red because.
Well, I'm sure we can scrounge up a midget for you.
And excuse me, Fancy's not short. Fancy is a fucking. That's a Hestia thing, not a Fancy thing. Don't get him twisted. Fancy is Fancy is statuesque because she was a showgirl, so they typically have a height requirement.
Yeah, but if she's seeing red and she's really angry, we can scrounge up someone who's a dwarf for her to punch on,
We're not doing that tonight. That was Wednesdays. This is Friday. It's a different night. New things. New things. But yeah, that's going to be her instinct. Her is to tear that bitch to shreds because you killed my touchstone, and I don't care why you killed my touchstone, but you killed my touchstone. So that's a thing, but it's probably not the best course of action. So we need to sort out what the fuck we finna do, and quick because
God.
that fight's not gonna last.
Well, I've been thinking about killing her since the second episode of this series, so Eo's pretty much down. I mean, Eugene is pretty much down for it. Especially if Fancy calls for it. Eugene's ready for it. He will help you beat down anybody you need to. And they should be coming back any moment from their nicotine break.
So we're not against the whole murder, but like I said, I would like some other options just in case.
Oh, if we're not going to murder her, we can always stake her and stash her in a freezer. I mean, that'll work too.
Out of character, I know this, but in character, I don't think I do. She's a thin blood, so I don't know if that'll actually work.
Well, Fancy wants to kill her, so staking her would work. Whether or not she'll be alive later, that's debatable, but I'm just saying, we could stake her if she wants to.
Yeah.
Basically,
have
all
to
I
remind
want is a concise handling of her for the moment and a way to get the fuck out of there, because again, we don't have a lot of time. The fight in the downstairs is not going to last for long, and then I'm sure the police are eventually going to get called in, even though they probably have the police in their pocket. So we need to do whatever we're going to do and get the fuck out so that we can get away.
Your chowder has been making a mess of things for the coterie, so
Yeah. Yeah.
But however we handle it, I just hope we handle it relatively quickly.
Yeah, you guys have got that Grusha to get going.
Yeah. That needs to happen too, yes.
Is Joji here?
They are mostly text, but they're also at work, so they can't actively participate.
He is not. He is the captive studio audience.
Okay.
He is live and accounted for. We are exactly 1 minute past hard start. We are exactly where we all need to be on a Vegas Friday. We are stepping sideways from the real world. All of our issues, all of our problems, all of the small stumbling hurdles standing in our way on a day-to-day are absolutely 100% paused. They are non-existent, and instead we will be assuming the full weight of the lives and existences of these promised immortal beings, these creatures of the night who have more times than not caused heaven to tremble and hell to shake, whether it be in outright abject humor or in horror and shock, a gag and a gasp at what they've wrought. All I have to say, thank you all for being here. This, without a shadow of a doubt, is Lost Wages, Second Chances, penultimate episode. Candles forward, foot, and head. When we last left these characters, when we last left this coterie, when we last left these monstrous entities possessed of their selfish senses of right, wrong, and their indifferences to both, for the most part, they had just survived a vicious onslaught. They had survived crossing the no man's land of full-bore, outright battle. They'd come with a purpose in mind: to save, rescue, to abscond with Fancy's oldest, most reliable instructor. Person who reminds her of her humanity, who embodies principles that Fancy holds near and dear. They'd also come at the behest of one of their members, a wayward child created in blood and pain. When we left, they had nominally achieved both of those things. standing on the 13th floor, the Black Dog Casino and Hotel, in the doorway of a suite. On the floor before them, the cooling, lifeless form of Fancy's touchstone. Her blood splattered, smeared into the carpet, leaked from her. And for all of the blood that surrounds her, that's soaked into the carpet and splattered across the wall, it is nowhere near the full volume of pints of a human body. The other portion of those missing pints, the full balance, is inside the teary-eyed Anastasia as she holds the cooling, lifeless body, unable to stand with all of her stolen kindred strength, unable to move even with all of the speed and alacrity of her dead flesh, frozen in the moment of having taken from this world the only person that has ever truly cared for Anastasia. Sounds of battle are a lifetime away. The sounds of conflict several floors beneath. Armed men, women, and otherwise engaging in things that at the very minimum would cost some their lives, others their sense of self. For those tourists and persons caught in the battle that the coterie has left behind, it is a before and after moment. Their lives will never be the same. For the coterie, that moment is now as well. There on the floor is the proof of their choices. There on the floor is the balance of the checks that they've written. There on the floor is the physical representation of the consequence of an action. There on the floor is proof of the consequence of heedless action. So first things first, to kick the rest of this Sisyphean boulder down the hill as it were, Fancy, would you be so kind as to utilize the slash frenzy? While that's happening, and you all are standing there, mouths agape, souls aflame, what is it exactly that you all are doing, suggesting, conversing on? Because Anastasia is there. I didn't fucking mean it. I didn't know how to stop. Fuck!
Eugene looks at Anastasia, then he looks at Martha, then he looks at Fancy.
It's asking me for a value.
And
What's the difficulty?
So Eugene is doing the R. Kelly. When he looks at me, and I look at him, he looks at me, and I look. Is that what Gene is
he
effectively
looks
doing?
at them, and then he quick draws and puts two bullets in her knees.
Stationary target. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your composure and firearm? Because it's a stationary target. The only thing you have to do is just not fail. It is a call shot, so normally you would be at a minus. However, again, she is stationary. The only thing that's really moving is the tears and her mouth. Her as she, I didn't fucking mean it. You didn't fucking tell me.
How's that a fail?
Yeah, it literally won't let me roll it without difficulty.
3. DC 3. I'm sorry, you didn't hear me.
Ooh.
Martha, as this is happening, in situations like this, just so that we are 100% clear, these things are happening all at once in the span of what seems like forever, because the world slows down, but it's all happening at once. What is it that Martha is actually doing, saying, suggesting, attempting?
Martha is not sure what to do. She wants to see Anastasia put on ice for a while. And she's kind of talked with Eugene about that before, and so she's kind of giving him a nod when he catches her eye.
So it is a cluster of several things happening at once, several horrendous things happening at once. Shocked as Martha is, she looks towards Eugene as the gun appears in his hand, as the sound of the hand cannon tears through its target. The sound, not the projectile, not the shell, not the bullet, but the sound is enough in these close quarters, and it feels like Zeus is hurling lightning bolts from on high. It feels as if you are in the presence of something unnatural, which you are. Because before you get a chance to register, before you get a chance to really experience it, to really feel it, see it happening, looking at Eugene, there is a blur of far too many years dancing, far too many years of training dance, far too many years at being graceful enough to attract the eye, smart enough to know where the eye would naturally be looking. It is the culmination of fancy existence and putting on a show, teaching others how to do the same, to be attractive enough and skilled enough to make the headliner seem as if they are the living embodiment of some demigod of entertainment, to make the show better with their presence, their skill. And in the moment, Fancy does exactly that. Puts on a show. the blur of motion, the unmitigated animalistic sound of sorrow, of torment, of a soul being shredded, escapes her as she hits Anastasia full bore. There's always an essence of mercy from Fancy. There's always an essence of avoidance in Fancy. There's always an essence of outlaugh one's enemy in Fancy. So you would not be wrong in seeing the being that tackles Anastasia and attempts to pull, pluck, tear, wring, and otherwise divest them of their personage as something aside from Fancy. You've never seen up close and personal kindred on kindred combat to the level of this. This is beyond personal. Normally, in a rage, normally when so incensed that one must resort to physical violence, there's a dissipation point, usually the third or fourth blow, usually the second actual hold, and there's beginning to be a slow down, it's not worth the effort beginning to fall over the person. In this instance, it is moving in reverse. Instead of slowing down at that third blow, that attempt to grab and pull, that kick to the chest and leverage as the arms are pulled free of holding, the actions get more frenetic. The howling, sorrow-filled yowls growing louder and more frenetic. The Matei-tinged tears staining her cheeks, flying free, mixing and mingling with bits and pieces of fabric and skin. Instead of just Anastasia cursing and "fuck, get off me, fuck, no, get," it is Fancy, full-throated, yowling her pain. You're a doctor, Martha. You know in another 3, 4, maybe at the outside 10 seconds, the injuries that Fancy are causing will drop into mortal woundings. And while the physiology is a little different when dealing with kindred, mortal wounds still cause and could cause final death. Leo, Ryan, watching this, what is it that you all do? There is, in fact, 3 against whomever you all decide to put your mind to. If you move in accord. And while Fancy has no intentions of letting up, Fancy has no intention of leaving Anastasia as she is, the semblance of life, you all know that with typical standard casino protocol, large-scale incidents, such as the one downstairs, typically cause police presence. With that police presence, there's usually more than a few of Prince Benedict's retainers mixed and mingled in. Normally, those retainers, of course, would report to Montrose, but you know that that's not the case. There is no longer a Montrose.
Eugene goes to the window, looks out. Are there police presence as of yet, or are they coming, or are they pulling up, or what?
You're on the 13th floor. You know the approximate time. You don't know what's going on the floors below. You've just been experienced enough with such chaotic situations to know that roughly in 2 actions, 3 at the outside, police should be on premises, which means Prince Benedict's forces should be on premises. It won't take them long to move through the floors once whatever is happening on the first floor is contained. And they would, in fact, move through the floor, verifying the safety and security of the tourists and the guests so that they have the illusion that everything is well in hand.
Okay. So we need to hurry this up. Fancy's frenzying, so we gotta definitely get her out of here. Don't want to take away my hand. I try to my best to grab Fancy, and depending on how that goes, I'll declare my second action, which would be to go ahead and shoot Anastasia in the head. But first and foremost, got to get Fancy out of here.
So your goal is to pull Fancy off Anastasia.
That is my goal.
Okay. Martha. Martha, did we lose you?
No. You know what? I'll try and extinguish Fatale on Fancy. I need to rouse for that.
All right. Well, I'm sure you already have the syntax as suggested in the book. Go ahead and make that roll. And while you make that roll, and you begin weaving the magic of your vitae and attacking Fancy, Theo, be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus athletics. Your DC is 4.
Actually,
Okay.
so I need a stamina plus composure from Fancy.
I don't know if that's possible. She's already in the middle of frenzy, so.
No, go ahead and roll, Martha, and that's the DC. You're the acting agent. You're moving. All right, and that's 6, 4. That is 10, 5. Okay, so Fancy, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your resolve plus brawl for me, please? And then, as that roll is completed, go ahead and roll your stamina and composure immediately afterwards. Your target number for the first roll is 5. Your target number for the second roll is 7.
I mean, is there really a point? I only have a 2 dot for that first one. There's no way.
Your resolve plus brawl is 2. Nice.
Yep, because I have no dots on brawl, just 2 dots in composure. Resolve.
You gotta roll your stamina plus composure.
And you said DC for that one is 5.
7. All right. So several things happen at once, as is unfortunately always the case. The chaos of the moment, confounding and piling upon itself. Oh, I forgot one thing. Sorry about that. Ew. Okay. Raising. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and raise? Oh. Yeah. Eugene, how are you pulling Fancy away? Are you trying to restrain her arms, her body? Are you lifting her up and just pulling her away?
I'm going to try to snap my arm around her upper shoulders, restraining her arms, like kind of pinning her. Bring her in close and drag her back.
Oh, that is not goodness. All right, Fancy. Increase your hunger by 2. Eugene, you need to roll your resolve plus composure DC 3 to resist the kiss. Because as you drag and pull, her hunger immediately rockets to full-fledged 5, and she clamps down on the nearest blood source. And unfortunately, that is you. And Martha, watching the blood sizzle and turn to smoke escaping through the pores of Fancy's being. There is a pit that grows in your stomach as large as James's favorite fruit of the same variety. You realize you've taken a emotionally distraught, frenzying kindred and made them, instead of inflicting the pain of their soul and the torment of their heartbreak on a victim of choice, you've shifted them mindlessly to needing to consume in the presence of a pool of blood already in presence. The kiss, Eugene, is a hell of a drug, both for victim and victimizer. You, however, in this moment, are able to hold on to your steel-like resolve and swim to the surface of all of that never-ending pleasure. You're able to tear your way out of all of that sticky, slimy forever. All of the neurons that would normally fire are still firing, but you're able to hold on to the emergency of the moment, which is you have a ravening Fancy fangs dug deep as you drag her away from inflicting her hurt onto another being. Unfortunately for you all, that other being is not in fact dead. That other being has not seen its final moment. And pained and frenzied and cursing and literally profaning every facet of you all for letting this happen, has reached a point of the dam has broken. Instead of verbally accosting and attempting to defend herself, Anastasia rises to her feet. Instead of verbally accosting you all, the glint of her shadow beast, her ghost-like other self, raises to the fore. In the presence of having finally satiated themselves, they were able to hold on to some semblance of themselves. Fancy's attack, grievous, gory, and physically traumatic. You watch as the wounds delivered, the oddly hanging arm resects the tendons, pulling it back into its socket, and you watch as the hunger, like an alarm bell, begins to going off as Anastasia mends herself as you pull Fancy off her, as you send Fancy completely into a hunger frenzy, and now you are between Sela and Charybdis, the rocks and the whirlpool, or as has been paraphrased time and time again, a rock and a hard place. There's but one outcome in this particular situation, or several, depending on how quickly you all decide and act. You have two frenzying kindred, one with their fangs buried into Eugene, by the way, increase your hunger by 1, and the other preparing to sink their fangs into the next nearest target. What is it that you all are doing, Martha, Eugene?
Okay. Eugene screams out, Martha, get Anastasia.
Right? I think I have a taser. I will try to Anastasia.
You're gonna try to taser a frenzying dead kindred?
Well, I don't think I have any other weapons.
And Eugene, as you're screaming out, and you're fang locked with Fancy, what is it that you are doing as Martha begins going through her person for her weapon of choice?
I do whatever I have to do to kick Fancy off of me.
And Fancy, as you're piloting Ryan, what is it that does?
I think Ryan would be a little bit in the middle of a clusterfuck with the fact that he definitely has Fancy's back no matter what, but Fancy is trying to hurt Eugene right now, so they need to be worried about getting out. He would probably do his best to try to get his arm between Fancy and Eugene around her waist and pull her towards the door. Pull him up.
It is nearly an auto success. However, Fang's buried would turn it from a feeding bite into a offensive bite. So to keep from taking physical damage in the violent, quick removal of Fancy from your flesh, Eugene, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl? Your DC is standard. Because you're getting the assistance from Ryan as well. Otherwise, it would be one higher.
Question. Is there possibly that I could use resilience or unswayable, or resilience to help in my roll any?
No, resilience is your toughness of body. It provides you an extra hardiness.
I could also kind of see Ryan yelling towards Martha, "Just grab the dish!"
That works. So that being the case, it is a painful reminder of getting between the predator and their prey. All of the pleasure in the world snatched away, with its opposite delivered as a gift. From the height of extreme release to the post-coital clarity, with sharpened teeth and hungry mouths devouring edges of your sanity, safety, and security. There's a void in you where the kiss had formerly begun to fill. There's a place that in your coldness of existence has gone so cold that it begins burning what's around it. That's what happens. That's what it feels like when the kindred's loving kiss is turned into a non-feeding bite. Martha, be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus arms at this point as you struggle free and fire your taser into Anastasia.
Strength plus what? Didn't hear the roll.
Firearms.
Okay. Any particular difficulty?
And it's contested against the frenzy vampire, so you're setting the DC. You're the active participant. So as high as you possibly can. Oh, isn't it? The taser strikes Anastasia directly in the soft palate of her mouth as she lunges forward, attempting to wrap arms and around and teeth through all that is Martha. The smoking that ensues is not something that any of you all will forget. It is the smell of electrified human flesh, dead and cold, now warmed as if it had been tossed into a microwave like a frozen chicken cutlet. It does not stop the momentum. It does not stop her moving forward. The muscles still reach forward, the electricity rushing through them, keeping her from actually causing harm, but the momentum still carries her nearly plumb against you, Martha. It is clear that short of graphic, traumatic harm, that this blood-soaked monstrosity will keep coming as if she is in fact the dead, fleshed equivalent of a Terminator. Tearing yourself free with Ryan holding Fancy, Jean, the electrified cordite scent beginning to fill the space. What is it that you, Martha, Ryan, are doing? What is it that you all are communicating? What is it that you all are preparing for? Because we are, in fact, several moments into the chaos being calm, the peace being reestablished elsewhere.
Ryan has Fancy.
It doesn't stop her from kicking, screaming, and trying to get her arms wrapped around you, Martha, whoever gets closer. Hopefully, Anastasia doesn't cross her visual path because, well, yeah, that is the prime. That is mecca of all of her vengeance. But closest, nearest blood source is always what she is attempting to get to.
We gotta speed this up. This is taking too long. Eugene shoots Anastasia in the head, tries to blow her head completely off. And then we gotta go.
Martha, what are you doing? As it is clear that Anastasia is still, in fact, coming.
I'm trying to hold her off.
Excellent. So, are you going to drop the taser and engage in fisticuffs with full force, or are you going to try to use the now expended taser to keep a little room between you, a little room for God to slip into that dance?
I think I'll use the taser if I can.
Okay, you're literally using it as a push weapon, as a prod to keep some distance between yourself. You're that being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus firearm? And Eugene, called shot. Would you be so kind as to roll at this distance? Strength plus firearm -1. Don't forget your tools that your character has: willpower, surging.
I'm gonna search. Did you say that it was dexterity and firearms?
That strength and firearm. You're at close mano-a-mano combat distance. The space between you and Anastasia puts your gun directly within a place where even attempting to drain Martha dry would be a physical contest. You're not shooting from the hip. You're shooting through all of the potential flailing, flubbing, and up close personal. Or as the saying, or as the training goes, within 20 feet, if you don't have your gun out, you're dead. You're well within that 20 feet.
Okay. So blood surge, so that's a drop of blood.
Don't roll that till afterwards. We're good. You'll just use the rouse function afterwards. So roll your strength plus firearm +1, because remember you already are at a -1 for called shot. So
Okay.
plus firearm +1 into your syntax.
Meanwhile, Ryan is trying to mollify and quiet Fancy while still walking her backwards out of the hotel room. He is determined to get at least them two out of there.
Slavering, snarling, and otherwise non-human in all of the, you're sure, profane things exiting her mouth is the way that Anastasia ceases to be. Now, normally, with a ballistics impact to the actual cranium of a person, at this distance, it is both entrance and exit wounds are large enough to make it more than obvious. The viscera that is spread can reach a distance of up to 35 to 45 feet with velocity. Further, if there's open space and you happen to be, facing into the wind, the entirety of your gun, your forearm, and much of your front-facing face and suit meet the inside of Anastasia's mind, up close and personal. It'd be insulting if it was a targeted thing. You'd very much feel as if you were spit on by all of her worst imaginings. However, it is not just you, Eugene. Bits of Anastasia lands in your mouth as you were screaming and fighting and keeping her from closing those horrendously dainty and jagged, slightly askew fangs from your flesh, Martha. Now, as a doctor, being covered in part in the various humors and fluids of the human body is nothing new. You've had to reach inside people, you've had to pull things out of people, you've had to sew, and otherwise you're accustomed to the fluids of light. But these are not the fluids of life. This is the alchemical, magically transmogrified vitae of kindred. Even the brain bits that land on the tongue, smack against the forehead, are wrong, smelling sweetly of iron-rich melon, tasting very much of your second favorite dessert, is bad enough. But it is a mortal sin for you, Martha, to sink fang into another divine being, to partake of the essence of another divine being. And yet that's what you are doing, albeit unwillingly, in this moment, as fragments of skull and nasal cavity and brain matter hit various portions of your face and front. Your taser will never be the same again. It has experienced things that no taser should ever experience. And the body drops. 2 bodies, 1 suite. And you all hear the elevator ding. In a situation of public panic and consternation, the police quickly respond to aid the security for the hotel casino to which they are called. The call clearly went out wide. There was someone clearly called with reports of gunfire from the events below. You all were there when the guns were brandished and people were being winged. It's just a flesh wound. However, those involved in the matters below, the escaped bear from the rig feed and soy animal act that was attacking everyone, only hastening their arrival. Insult to injury that it is, fancy snarling and attempt to escape Ryan can be heard from the stairwell if you have supernatural hearing. Unfortunately for you all, the police and hotel security don't have supernatural hearing. They in fact see Eugene and Martha covered in the physical viscera, standing in the hallway looking very much like something out of a horror movie. The smoking gun literally in both their hands, the taser and the hand cannon of Eugene's usual methodology. And it's a little bit early, but I've had far too much of this lovely decoction that I've made. It's a peach frozen fruit instead of ice cube moment. It is 23 after the hour. Let's be back here at 33 on the dot. So, everyone back?
Kinda.
I guess good. we can vibe, but kinda. So, Fancy and Ryan are in the stairwell, which is about from where you all are in front of the door. You could be there before the cops, the security guards, are close enough to do anything physically, directly. It would take at least that long for them to draw their firearms if you all had sprint. Or you can wait through the encroaching security and police officers and take them all down. Or you can drop your weapons and throw your hands up. Or you can rush forward past the fallen body of Anastasia, drag her in, close and bar the door that you're inside of that suite. So, with the elevators opening their doors and security guard officers and the police officers standing there taking in the absolute fuckery of all the blood, the body parts, the smoking gun, the sizzling taser, what is it that you, Martha, you, Eugene, decide to do?
I'll make a break for the stairwell.
Time to go away.
All right, sounds like a plan. That being the case, we need a total outcome of 3 or more, and it is a contested series of rolls, starting with stamina plus athletics, because you all are taking the stairs at a good clip, and you're hoping to, of course, not knock each other down and fall and tumble, and otherwise put yourselves in a prostrated position where they can close quickly. There's also 13 flights of stairs for you all to reach the ground floor, where you all could be interdicted potentially by any backup officers or anyone waiting on the first floor. So, off to the races.
Do we each need to hit 3, or?
Yes. It is a contested 3 plus on your side. So each of you will roll. The total combined will be averaged versus their total combined. And your portion of the roll must exceed their portion by 3 to escape scot-free. Less than 3 at the end of our rolls will necessitate other occurrences.
Is that counting Fancy and Ryan, or is it
Yes.
separate?
Yes, you can. Yes, it does include Fancy and Ryan as part of the average.
And the pool was one more time?
Stamina plus athletics. But remember, Fancy is in fact being carried by Ryan, drugged along as kindly as he can, I'm sure.
That's what I was gonna say, like, because I know Fancy's total pool for that is 3, but is it like a plus 1 or 2 for Ryan being the one carrying, or which way would that go?
First round for you all adds up to not good. Hey. 2, 3, 5 divided by 3. You all break through the door. Ryan nearly goes tumbling, holding on to by snarling, frantic and still highly pissed Fancy. Cognition is slowly returning. The source of their anger, the source of their unmanning, no longer in view. The hunger still there. The need for sustenance and vitae still there. You all take a stumble. You all take a small sort of a spill. If not for the guardrail, the handrail there on your right, you all would have gone falling down at least a flight of stairs. And it allows the security officers to make it to the door and begin radioing. And you can hear the unmistakable sound of firearms clearing holsters. You can hear the unmistakable sound of frantic, angry police officers, security officers, someone who is accustomed to being obeyed, shouting orders. Freeze! Don't move! Stop fucking running! Please roll again. They are far closer than they should have been. They are closing. Their testosterone-laden voices melding into a garbled sense of righteous anger, indignation, fear, all melding together. It is pulse pounding. If you all had the opportunity of having pulses that operated free of your will, the pressure would have been built high enough to cause instantaneous migraines. The pressure would have been high enough at this point for your hearts to stop. Luckily, you all beat that to the punch. Walls are, in fact, closing. As you all are fleeing, is there any alternative, ulterior tactic that you all are attempting? Are you cutting across floors? Are you trying to slow them down? Are you firing up the stairwell to give them reason to pause? Are you simply running headlong?
I think it would be smart to cut through the floor, catch the elevator, get off on a different floor, and just take a different stairwell.
Do you believe Ryan would have suggested as such?
He's a smart man, yes. Especially since they were the first ones to get away. I'm sure he would yell at Eugene a bit, but like now we have to fucking go a different route. They know we're on the stairwell. We need to go somewhere else. So yeah, that's his suggestion, is going to be to cut somewhere else.
Eugene, Martha.
Sounds like
And
a
then
good plan to Eugene.
Nancy's kind of coming out of a little bit. She's definitely struggling less in his arms. She's just kind of going along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the group.
You all get off somewhere in the range of the 9th floor. There was a concert. You know, there's several things going on at the hotel. There always is. In each and every one of the casinos up and down the strip, including those even near the strip. There's always something going on. There's always some added value being presented to the guests who are staying. After all, there are multi-billions of dollars that flow through Las Vegas that are all dependent upon the tourist trade. It is something out of a Christian right-winger's nightmare as you cut across the 9th floor. And instead of taking up one of the convention rooms, one of the convention halls, it is clear that you all have met a convention in the middle of its, or at the end of its day, in the middle of its partying through the evening. Doors are open, people are vaping the devil's lettuce and otherwise cavorting in the halls, mindless and heedless of the chaos going on elsewhere in the casino. And not any convention. No. You all stepped off onto the floor of the zombie furry enthusiasts. There's cosplays of the animatronics at Five Nights at Freddy's, but mixed and mingled with characters from Roger Rabbit, Disney, Universal, cartoons that you would not expect to be inflated with popularized zombie television. And yet here, in fact, they are. Googly eyeballs hanging, sinews and ribs exposed, fake and fall blood splattered across one and the next. Into this come you all. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl to see do you manage to escape Ryan's grip to get to that lovely, unctuous, delicious blood that is there beneath all of that various molded foam. As you all exit on the 9th floor, Eugene, Martha, knowing that the police are closing, what is it that you all are attempting to do or thinking of doing or conversing of doing? Communication is the key for you all, for your all's escape. At this point, they have closed and they are literally barreling through the door right behind you all.
Is there a potentiality of blending into the crowd? Because we are gore covered. We are covered in blood and there are zombies, so there's a lot of other people gored up and all that.
I only have one dot in that other pool, by the way, so I don't know what the like. I can still roll it if you want.
Yes, roll that beautiful being footage, and while that is being decided by the hand of fate, Eugene, you may certainly try. Martha, what are you attempting?
I like Eugene's idea of blending in. I would like to try to hide in the crowd.
Okay. That being the case, with each of you, be so kind to roll your composure plus stealth.
Pretty good pool for me.
Not bad, not bad. Not bad here.
Is that your final roll? If it is not, do click one of those buttons that are still lit.
Right. Not as good as a roll, but still good.
So 9 versus 5.
So are you two attempting to approximate the same space, join the same conversational group that are in the hotel room doors and mingling down the hall, or are you splitting up to?
I'm thinking to split up, make it harder for us to be seen, and slowly work our way away to like another stairwell to get out.
All right. And Orion, not going for any of that, is going to keep hauling ass. After all, there's no point in sticking around for that, now, is there? Keep it moving as quickly as possible.
Especially because the people the cops saw was Martha and Eugene. They only saw Fancy and Ryan when they ran into the damn stairwell.
Yeah. Syntax, always about the syntax. Damn it all. So it's chaos. It is a maelstrom of things. Eugene, how instinctually would Eugene defend himself?
Eugene currently is on high alert because of everything that just went down. He's checking corners, looking around, and
No,
trying to
not the
back.
details of not the details of an order of operations. Literally, life on the line. How would he defend himself?
He would probably throw an arm up as he's ducking.
Okay. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus athletics as high as you possibly can? So
Well, that didn't work. How bad did I get hurt?
that is a good question. We will have to find out. So, Martha, one of the things that has always been on your side as far as such things go, your ability to slip away, to blend in, to disappear, to be out of sight. Fate has always had it in for you to be unseen. It has always worked and operated to keep you as undetected as possible. Your sojourn through the desert proved that. Yes, there were other ramifications, but you largely were unnoticed. Now you were on Front Street. You were literally the guiding light for them. Disappearing and mingling into the crowd, your dress, your demeanor allows you to disappear effectively from their sight, which means you are hidden from the officers that move past you. And it is a troubling world in which you exist. But you are a hair's breadth away from the officers who close on Theo. And they close on Theo as if they are the late 70s, early 80s Raiders defensive line. Their goal is to pummel, drive to the ground, break and shatter as much as they can to keep themselves safe and whole. They're coming up with the broken arm wrapped in a cast to use as a cudgel. They are doing every dirty tactic you possibly could to keep yourself safe and the other person as harmed as possible. You watch them prepare and launch their attack against Theo. Is there anything you are attempting? Or are you going to use it to run?
I really should help, but I'm gonna run.
As you take the opportunity, their distraction is focusing on Eugene. And escape down the hall following in Ryan's wake. You're expecting, as you look over your shoulders, you make it down the opposite stairwell behind Ryan to further escape. You're expecting to see a massacre. You are expecting to see you're a real one, Blue, as Eugene goes down under the onslaught. But as he covers and protects his head and absorbs the blows, he is managing to stay on his feet. And while a part of you is surprised, the other part of you, the darker part of you, your passenger, your beast, is proud, glad that he's providing you with enough distraction for you to safely escape all of this madness. Eugene, you're not particularly ethnic when it comes to Latin American traditions. The idea of the piñata was never one that you grew up with. You've seen them even in parties where they came into being, but you've never empathized with an inanimate object more than as you're mixing and mingling with a zombified Bugs Bunny and a walkerized version of Woody Woodpecker, who were toking the most asinine of things. Yeah, man, this is all natural. It's not even weed, man. We're actually smoking celery. Like, if you soak celery, the salt causes that hit. And so you get a natural. And all of a sudden, the security, police officers rain ungodly hell on your head. You know personally in this moment exactly what a pinata feels like as they wail and strike and attempt to take your legs from you, attempting to force your arms back behind your back and drive you face forward into the carpet. It goes without saying, but of course I will. What is it that you are attempting to do?
Quick head count, is it more than 2?
You're in a crowded, furry, zombified con spillover. Head count is not a feasible thing. There are blows raining down on your head. They are attempting to force you to the ground. You can hear their grunts and their effort. You see the shoes lining up around you. You hear people gasp and responding to this show or forth. You're not doing it. And you hear the chaos growing. They have centered in like a upturned beehive on their aggressor and their attacker. The entire hive is targeting that foolish yellow bear that happened to try to steal their honey. You, of course, are that foolish yellow bear. What is it that you are attempting?
Do a shove and run.
Okay. That is a contested. Considering it a block would be strength plus athletics. However, as you are withstanding, restraining, and otherwise trying to outlast, you may in fact use either your strength or your stamina plus athletics to escape the death circle of police officers and security guards driving you to the ground to interdict, arrest, detain you.
Is that rouse roll from when I surged earlier still active?
No.
Okay. Can I possibly use the shove as in conjunction with soaring leap? Because I'm going to try to shove through them and keep going.
You can, if successful, utilize soaring leap to try to leap over the ongoers and make it further down the hall towards the other stairwell. But your escape must be successful.
Can I rouse?
Yes.
Yeah, can I rouse to increase my blood pool?
Yes.
All right, I'll do that.
Roll with your +2 from the rouse, and then roll your rouse roll.
That's
There is always fate. Fate lends its hand in the most unmitigatedly unexpected ways, either cheering you on towards success or attempting to tie your shoelaces at the outstart of a race. The question in this moment, as your beast calls its tax due, as it demands to be paid for all of the efforts it has deposited upon you. Does fate lend a hand or give a shove? Instead of tying your shoes together, instead of placing a hand firmly on your back and shoving you forward, she simply cuts the laces on your shoes. The glancing blow of the in the truest definition of such, your leap, your rushed forward and soaring above, crushing against the roof of this hotel hall. It's as if these congoers are for the first time having the opportunity of seeing O.J. Simpson in his prime, rushing his style and savoir-faire. Zombified and bloody, and it causes them to cheer uncomfortably. Because in the modern era, of course, everything's done. Everyone's familiar with wire work and Hong Kong action cinema. Everyone's familiar with The Matrix and Bullet Time. Everyone's familiar with Seven Deadly Sins and various other animes where someone is stronger than they appear. Someone has the gift of the gods. They're able to soar. And as you gracelessly, though solidly, land on your feet, several meters beyond any semblance of realistic expectation, some gentleman dressed as a cross-gendered Eeyore, who is missing several buttons, to say the least, is holding aloft their cell phone. And you hear, "Sometimes I dream, here's me." And the police are shoving the congoers aside and rushing forward through them towards you. Hell in a handbasket is a commonly tossed off phrase. And as you make it into the stairwell, a flight and a half behind Martha, who is in fact a flight and a half behind Ryan and Fancy as they escape. The inevitable is obvious. Some things are made to end. And as the walls close in, the hungry sheepdog of the Las Vegas Police Department chase their prey and course their hair. When you all meet up later, are you meeting at whose haven? Are you meeting at the hotel, which has become your group haven, the center of the Garuja, safely away from everyone else's prying eyes? Or are you meeting at someone's home, someone's dance studio?
I'm assuming by now that Panther herself, despite the hunger, and with that being the case, she would know that the first place most people tied to her would look, or having recognized her would be at the studio. Nobody knows that they own the hotel yet, so that's probably the safest place.
Until you feed to at least one hunger, you know you are effectively -2 for all of your dice pools, okay?
Yep. I keep saying it says
All right.
mentally impaired. So
Okay.
as simply as she can get that across, even if it's caveman speech, she will convey studio not safe, go hotel.
Hotel it is.
So you all alight at your hotel. You all manage to make it out of the closing cordon of police officers and security officers at the Black Dog. You all manage to escape the death circle of their attention and their focus. You manage to make it across Vegas. You manage to steal, abscond, drive there. Settled into your space, your domain, safely away from the trouble and tribulations of your outing. What is it that you all are discussing? I know in most situations, the discussions that should be happening pertaining to the 2 corpses you all directly left, the APB that is going out county-wide, the witnesses left, the weight of consideration that will fall on your heads. What is it that you all are planning? Because after all, those who don't plan to succeed are merely planning to fail.
First thing for Fancy is she can't plan shit till she takes care of this hunger. So unfortunately,
No, she can
even
speak.
though-
She has her faculties. Mechanically, she is impaired, and she is impaired. She has had a portion of her soul broken and torn out. She has had a portion of her life, what semblance of it that she has come close to actually inhabiting, taken from her. She's fully there. The trauma of that is fully there. She has not denied her faculties. Mechanically, the stress would show. The pain would eke out. There's a clear wound in her being. Otherwise, she is there. She does not, unfortunately, being dead, have the surcease of being able to escape that moment, to go catatonic, to disassociate from this world, from that moment. She, unfortunately, is there through it all.
I didn't think that she was not mentally there. I'm just saying, like, it's like, how are you going to focus on studying for your test if you're hungry? Your stomach's talking to you. That's what I meant more like she can't focus on what's going on while she's hungry. I take it we're back in the office, or did we pick a new office? I'm up for either.
Whatever we try to do, you didn't change his clothes if possible. And then because I still I was unable to do what I needed to do, which was to go and take care of my touchstone. We were supposed to do that, but we never got a chance to because of the cops and the gunplay and everything like that. So he's trying to figure out how to do what he has to do right now, but first he's thinking about food as well.
She's just kind of sitting in a chair, rubbing her temples, looking at the others. So, that was the clusterest of clusterfucks. Unfortunately, I don't remember much of what happened in the room, save past seeing somebody that was really, really important to me dead on the ground. I don't remember much after that until we kind of got out of the hotel. But I take it that Anastasia is no more and their body was left behind for the cops.
That's correct.
Along with my touch. The important person to me is body, with obvious, probably neck wounds. And now they're both probably in police custody. Am I making sense? And then there is the fact that they saw you two directly. And because they saw you two, me and Ryan got dragged into this shit. And now they know what maybe all of us look like. I don't know how much they got to see, but so now oh shit, we're fucked. We're so fucked. I mean, have we been this fucked before? Kinda, maybe a little bit, but we're really, really fucked now. So anybody have any ideas? I'm willing to listen.
Honestly, I'm thinking about going to the Regent and seeing if he can help me out.
I mean, that's the thing. I can't go to my betters right now because fuck shit. And your lovely child running their fucking mouth and telling a fucking werewolf, our business, and that we were planning on taking out the Prince of Prem. Because they were there for that conversation. So that's now not common knowledge, but knowledge. And hopefully they will forget to tell anybody that shit in their anger at us for getting away. I doubt it, though. I think we should prepare that we are going to be surrounded on all sides soon.
Oh?
In theory, if you can hold out to the Garuja, you can talk to people who aren't local and aren't as concerned with local politics and, ask for their help. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, but you can make a bargain.
I know that I probably can't go do anything for right now because the police just happened to see me, so that's gonna be fun. And I don't know if the Gruge is gonna really happen considering how much what happened as of today. So there's that.
I think you'd need to make sure it happens because my understanding is it not happening is more than a embarrassment. It's
If it doesn't happen, we might as well set ourselves out on the fucking front lawn in sun chairs and wait for the sunrise.
yeah.
Well, in that case, we better work towards the Garuja sans everything else because, yeah. That's all I got. Yeah.
Eugene, don't you know people?
To do what,
I know you're
exactly?
saying you can't go out, but weren't you friends with like some sort of business people and some politicians and some shit? Like, can't you call them for help?
I might know a guy, but it might be dicey right now.
More than one guy. Aren't they like multiple different people that you know? Because you have some shady friends. Keep in mind, I'm not judging because I have shady friends too. Let's not forget my little Fluffy, who's in trouble as well. But at the same time, you have more slightly higher end shady friends than I
do. I might, but I also have shady enemies. Let me see what I can. What is it that you need? I'm gonna see if I can maybe get what happened buried for now. But what is it that you need, Fancy?
Well, the businessmen can help us with this whole planning thing. Like, they can help us get permits pulled, or like didn't you know somebody at the security at the hotel too? Maybe they can get some of the fucking footage lost so that we weren't so clearly on shit. And then the business guy, maybe, like I said, like, he can help us with getting the hotel up and together for the Garuja. And if you know anybody in the government, maybe they can put a little pressure on the cops to forget about this shit a little bit.
my first thing to get someone to kind of brush this under the rug, because this has got to go away first. The guy with the footage, he might help me out, but he might not, considering what just happened. Because that was a major clusterfuck.
What about Victoria? Victoria has connections, right? And then your connections through Victoria are connections that can help us.
Let me see what I can do. He goes to his phone and begins making phone calls.
Call.
First thing is he's gonna try to use Side Hustler to see if he can get some people to get in and get the business together. Get the
Doesn't quite
hotel
work
up.
that way. It's for obtaining things, not things that are covered under allies and contacts. Side hustler is a connection of a network for obtaining things that would otherwise not be obtainable. Contacts, allies, retainers are the sort of persons that would go do things. Stones can be leveraged to do things. It is, in fact, putting a significant pressure and wealth of time, effort, and potential failure on things that actually matter. It's literally going to Vegas like most gamblers with the value of their mortgage. It's into knowing that if you hit just the right lick, you taking all the grocery money inside the house will pay off. But it is, in fact, all the grocery money inside the house. Using touchstones.
Okay. Alright, fine. I call Vance and see if he can make the police thing go away. Or at least bury it for a while.
Okay.
He's gonna remind
while
him
you can
during that he has to ask for aid directly. Don't bullshit or pussyfoot or try to get around it. You have to ask for help and then they will accept. Otherwise, they will try to push you off and bullshit you.
So, contacting Vance, who is a relatively backdoor Vegas politician. It's really the only way things get done in any political environment, in any political arena. There's a theater of the debates and enmity in public, but behind closed doors, most politicians are working as many deals as they possibly can to get ahead, to get their cause ahead, to support their drives, and blah, blah, blah. It is a lot of double dealing and triple dipping. So reaching out to Vance, calling on your connections and ties of a social sort. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and your persuasion with a clearly communicated ask?
Charisma and persuasion.
Yes. Martha, while that roll is happening, you said you were going to try to reach out to your region. How would you go about doing so?
I assume I have some way of getting in contact with him.
You know what they say about assumptions? They're the mother of all inventions, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can go to the Chantry, I guess. I mean, I'm a member of the pyramid in good standing.
Okay, so you leave. So Martha leaves her coterie and attempts to make it across Vegas. Is there anything she does before leaving the hotel?
Well, I get out of my blood-stained clothes. And, yeah, I think that's it.
While that's happening, Fancy. Calls being made, and Martha slipping away in the midst of conversations to head elsewhere. What is it that you're doing? And what is it that you think that Ryan might be doing at this time?
I think Ryan, having lost his chance to check on the touchstone that we went to the Black Dog for in the kerfuffle and dealing with what he's dealing with, he would probably try to check on his other touchstones or important folk. And I think that's important for him right now. Like the one chick he's constantly calling, I don't know her name, but her, like he would check on her and then anybody else. His mother, like important people to him, he would check on right now. Fancy, though, is going to look through this, I guess, like staff information and see who she can make disappear without too much problem. Because she, again, the hunger is bothering her, and she's not super, precious about snuffing out a life here or there, depending on what her needs are. So she'll do her best, but if they go missing, it's not going to be a hardship, basically. So that's what she's doing right now. She's looking for a target.
Okay. Martha, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your manipulation plus status? And Fancy, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your manipulation and either leadership or etiquette? Getting a hold of Vance requires a almost reverse phone tree. You start wide with ward bosses and area commanders of various fleets, delivery men, union leaders, union bosses, and as per usual, no one talks to him on the phone. So he does everything he can to make sure that there is no phone on his person where he is. Because it's easy to get tripped up in a private conversation made public. So it requires some effort and work to get to him. He doesn't want to go down like the politicians of the last decade, saying something aside in private and having it recorded or what have you. So he's absolutely paranoid in regards to such things. He doesn't even have a computer in his home. All of his professional devices as per his office, are always at his office. He does not carry a cell phone. His secretary and some of his advisors do. And it takes time and effort to get to them because those numbers are always being defunct and ruled out. So it takes a little bit to get a hold of him. You can hear the smoke in the background. You can taste the smooth, mellowed caramel hint behind the whiskey that he has clearly had and enjoyed this evening. And as he takes a long drag of whatever it is that he's smoking, you're sure that it is in fact legal because he's one of the few who don't partake. Yeah, well, this.
I need to speak to Vance.
Ah, Gene, how you doing?
It's not great.
Sorry to hear that. These things happen, you know. I have always said that the bad times show us who we really are. They give us a chance to pull ourselves up by our bootstrap. And by working together, we're able to build a... who am I kidding? You've already heard that speech several hundred times. So, what can I do you for? Remember, this isn't my phone, so keep it clean. You need to come down and toss some chips? Like I can stake you.
No. I need a favor.
Don't we all? I'm holding a pair of pocket aces, but I'm sure this other guy has a fucking full boat. What do you need?
Something has a black dog. I need it to go away.
That's a big ass. You don't mess with gaming. I may know a guy who knows a guy who knows a girl who hung out with a guy who's friends with a girl that is involved in our local county gaming commission. But that's a big ask. It's there's no way to disguise it as anything more than what it is. And you know those guys, a bunch of bean counters with guns.
Yeah, no. It wasn't about the dice. It's something that's gonna come up on your radar real soon. But I need a full blackout on what happened at the dog tonight. I know it's a real big ask, but I need it.
I wish I could help you with such a big ask. I can call in a couple of favors, but I can't make any promises. That's the gaming commission. Whatever they decide to do of untoward behavior inside of a casino, I can make it difficult for them, but not without some risk to myself. You know what I mean?
I understand.
You're talking to somebody who could have been the next governor, maybe even the mayor. Somebody with real power around here.
I know that my back's against the wall, and I'm really hoping you come through for me. I know that you can help me out here if it makes it difficult, and I'd appreciate it. And I'll owe you a big one.
You do realize, and you can hear him stepping into a more private area. You do realize fucking with the gaming convention could spend or ruin all of my political clout. It could, and most likely would, stall my career. What you're asking me here is deadly. Are you sure you want me to get involved with something that is under the purview of the gaming commission?
Let me limit my search. Something happened with the Christmas trees, and they were able to make me. I just need them to back off for a little bit.
See what I can do. And the call ends just as Martha, you've made it about 4 blocks from the hotel. You're on your way to the primary chancery, the center of the Tremir's power in Vegas. Like most cities, Vegas has their primary public-facing chancery. They have several smaller that are able to all but disappear. It goes without notice. It's a running theme with the Tremere. There's always several layers of truth in the offing. The primary chancery, however, here is all about the glitz and glam. It is all about being something more than what people assume it to be, and yet being exactly all of that plus for those who have no clue as to how much power and magic actually through them. You're 4 blocks, roughly, give or take. And the flashing red and blue lights here in your rearview mirror. Here's the thing. LVPD typically won't chase you during a traffic stop. When you take off, they're not going to chase you. They want to minimize public exposure. But it's also the reason why all of their vehicles have a redundancy in regards to tagging vehicles that would just show up at your house. They just catch you when you go into a parking garage and make sure that they wait for you there. The reason why they don't chase anyone, because as a public-facing city such as Vegas, they want to minimize the exposure of risk to their tourism trade. And the number one killer like this are people who take off, who they engage in an actual high-speed chase. There had to be a provable crime and clear-cut danger to the public before they would even attempt to do so. The question is, and this is the big question, with them easing into your slipstream, what is it that Martha does? Seeing the red and blues.
I will pull over and let them come to me.
So, as you pull over, and you hear over their microphone, static, APB, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of white noise for the most part. But the black dog is clearly something you can make out. As the lead officer exits the vehicle, slowly begins walking alongside of your car, taps your rear view, your rear brake light twice. The partner easing off the vehicle at an angle that would provide a line of sight towards the back of your head and potentially the back seat and then the passenger seat from where they are. They don't actually lean into the window or shine their light. They tap the hood as they establish a distance and a vector. Lead officer easing along gets to your window. Is it up or is it down?
I roll it down.
Rolling down your window, they lean in. A tall, Viking-ass blonde even at this hour of the evening. She's wearing driving glasses, but it looks like sunglasses because the yellow is causing the light to hit it at such a odd angle. Um, so you know why I stopped here?
No, officer.
I completely understand. Why don't you step out of the car so we can talk a little bit?
All right.
You step out of the car. Her height becomes far, far too obvious. She is about 3.5, 4 inches taller than you. Which doesn't seem like that huge of a distance, but you are tall for a woman. You're 5'11", almost 6 feet yourself. Her partner is considerably shorter than that. And at this distance, once you step out of the car, her height, the solidity of her being, the presence, the coolness wafting off of her, and that spidey sense at the back of your head begins going off. Your hotel where you all have set up shop, where you have managed to purchase, your hotel where you operated out of, is not inside the general expected area of an APB for the black dog. There's something feral about her. The hairs on your arm begin to stand up, matching the hairs at the back of your neck. There is a fear tremulating from your legs and working its way up your spine like an electric charge. This vehicle is registered incorrectly. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Almost a good thing for us that we can make sure that the vehicle gets back to its owner and you can sort that out with them. I'd step back to our cruiser.
All right.
As you walk back.
Oh,
You're saying?
I used spray the soul on this officer.
Is very much cheating. That is very much a peeking beneath the. You're raising the kilt.
Yeah.
Would you be so kind as to go ahead and it's a ritual, correct? I forget off the top of my head.
I think it's Auspex 3.
Specs.
I'm trying to remember if I need to rouse for this.
One should always risk the beast. You should always tempt it. And yeah, it is a level 3, and it does require rolling dice with the beast, risking it all, putting it on the line.
Okay.
And go ahead and roll your intelligence plus aspects as your eyes shift into that unholy space between the living and the dead. The cataracts of the light fading doesn't quite cause your eyes to shift, but there is a change noticeable for those who know what to look for. There is a change that happens for those who are aware of such things. As she takes a step back and motions towards the cruise, and you say, "Of course, let's go." Your blood freezes in your veins. You've never been close to something so immediately violent. This is the living embodiment of the wild of the world. You see the bright, pulsating aura of some lupine entity emanating from her. You feel the heated, blood-tinged breath of a predator standing before you. You realize that this officer, this woman, is in fact a member of the lupine community. And as you realize that, Martha, fancy. There's an aphorism. There's a often touted out chestnut. You never shit where you eat. Luckily for Fancy, she doesn't take that to heart. Because one, being dead, she doesn't have to do such things. However, bill must come due, and her beast must be satiated, just simply for nothing more than easing the pressure on her. She is torn between rending the world in half and hungry avarice to consume it all and rip the world into nothingness so that it can experience and share in the feelings that she has right now. Something valuable, irreplaceable has been taken from her. And while she's normally, averagely, calm, satiatingly easy in how she obtains her vitae, beautiful and absolutely 100% using the power dynamic difference to get what she wants. There's nothing subtle. Right? Using the weight of her position as owner of this fucking hotel to get them to drop to their knees and service her the way that she needs. So horrible if she didn't already feel so. She'd be worried if she didn't already not give two shits. Because by God, she deserves. And the problem with that is the moment that the blood touches her tongue, the moment that the beautiful, bright, vibrant, stolen blood touches her tongue, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your frenzy for me, please? The DC is 3.
I mean, what if I'm not trying to stop it though?
Yeah. You're going to ride the wave. You're going to give in. You're going to relent.
You know what? Yeah, with the amount of anger and hurt she's feeling right now, fuck the world very fucking much.
Emptying. Would you please so kind as go ahead and move your hunger to 0? Emptying a person like you're draining a wineskin shouldn't feel as delicious as it does. It should not feel as affirming for everything you are as it does. But it calms the rage. It doesn't stop it. It sands off the rough edges. It levels out all of the uneven ground. But it doesn't stop the rage. The pleasure of the kiss dulls the pain. Sit with the remainder of Jocelyn Garcia. There was a way things were done when bodies were laid in state. The wake, the attempt to, of course, wake the dead. But in the olden days, it says, while the wake was happening, while you'd sit with the body to make sure that the crimes of their past, the wrongs they've done in this world didn't follow them into the next, to give them an opportunity of coming back to themselves and sitting up and telling everybody it was a mistake. There were candles placed. One at the foot, and one at the head. So that no shadows would stick to them. No spirits would found their way forward, either back to the family who needed them, or into the next world where their just deserts would meet them. The candle placed at the head was to light the way, to keep the path open, so they could find their way wherever it is that their soul needed to be. That wasn't done for Anastasia. It wasn't done for the immortal. It most assuredly. And for Corinne, who even being hounded by supernatural monsters kept your trust. And a goodbye. There wasn't a insurance for her betterment. There wasn't any traditions honored. And in the course of a month, she lost her son. She lost her daughter. She lost herself. You. She's somewhere on the other side of the veil now, without you. Having died keeping your secrets, your trusts, and providing as much love as another being could. And the injury of it all is as you're coming to grips, or at least understanding the width and breadth of your despair, your beast, quiet and lolling, his belly filled, whispers, and now you gotta hire somebody for the daytime shift. It is 58 after the hour. I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I will see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.